What's up, you beautiful Redditors? Hope you're having a fantastic Monday. Welcome to the RNEWS morning show. And let's just jump into it. From r/World News. Students in Japan submit petition to raise age of consent from 13 to 16. Canada lowered it to 14 years ago, then raised it to 16 when a different government came into office. Yeah, when I was a teenager it was 14 in Canada, with a 5-year spread for people under 19. So a 14-year-old couldn't be banged by someone 20 and up, for example. Within 10 years, that's weird. So a 26-year-old can bang a 16-year-old? Yeah, this state has a history of child marriage that is the probable source of the wide age gap. Imagine being in a relationship, having a birthday and having an awkward talk, or a babe we're legally only allowed to hold hands instead for the next 3 years. I mean, there's very few legitimate relationships between 20-year-olds and 14-year-olds. Yeah, I'm 20 and 14 seems like children to me. They aren't even friend material, let alone relationship material. Don't worry, I was the same way. 25 now, still no friend. 32, it doesn't get any better. You're very mature for a 7-year-old. The age of consent is not 13 in Japan. Literally a 5 seconds Google search will tell you. You're watching the RNEWS show. From r/World News. Women activists, political prisoners sexually assaulted, tortured and executed in Saudi Arabia jails. Frick Saudi Arabia. Also, frick Mohammed Bonisor. We won't forget about Khashoggi and oil. To the surprise of literally no one. The only thing surprised me that F1 is going to race in Saudi Arabia after a year of try-harding in the sport that people should stop being racist and everybody should be threatened the same. Human rights. Fricking hypocrites. If oil money gets offered, they don't give a crap about human rights anymore. But we racers won. F1 has a very spotty record when it comes to races and sponsorships. Look no further for evidence than their race schedule, which has races in China, Bahrain, Qatar, Russia, and now Saudi Arabia, with SA for 2021. Then there is also a proposed idea to build a new track in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, which would cut down part of a rainforest and which would replace a track that has been on their calendar for decades. So I think it's clear F1 hasn't been making some great decisions at times. There have been a number of other problems, but there are some of the current issues. Edit. Mixed up Qatar with Bahrain. That's why this whole anti-racism stand is bullcrap PR. Exactly. I mean, yes, anti-racism message is fine and all, but if they're gonna race at Saudi Arabia where worse crap happens, then the whole "we racers won" will be absolutely pointless. You're watching the RNEWS show. From r/World News. Scotland pulls up the drawbridge, making it illegal to enter from rest of UK. Wait, so this isn't a joke making fun of how they pronounce lockdown? That was my understanding, just Scottish pronunciation of lockdown. But alas, wrong again. I'm still saying lockdown anyway. For non-UK people, Scotland do not have a giant drawbridge that controls access to their country. I had no idea. Now I am wondering about moats, alligator pits and trebuchets too. Until they have vaccines, with long needles, twice as long as a man. That long. Oh, some men are longer than others. Irrefutable scientific fact. Because no one else has bothered explaining. It's a reference to a series of Japanese commercials about Sakurari gum. I'd recommend watching the whole thing. I was about to say that would suck if you worked on the other side. Can't blame them at all. In fact, they should rebuild the Hadrian Wall to keep the English out. So exactly what Wales did a fortnight ago during their lockdown. But when Scotland does it, it's bigger news. For what reason? To stir up anti-English sentiment and create animosity. You're watching the RNEWS show. From r/Politics. Michigan group sues Trump campaign for alleged mass voter suppression. I hope this lawsuit lasts long enough to wipe out the last pile of cash Trump is hiding somewhere. He'll just keep declaring a run for the presidency every 4 years. Soak the rubes for donations, and pocket the cash like he's been doing with the Stop the Steal slush fund. He will continue to grift gullible Colt 45 until the day he dies. He found his cash cow that will never run dry. The irony of him losing this lawsuit would be almost too delicious to behold. After years of complaining about voter fraud while failing to provide a shred of evidence. Well, except for those Republican voters here and there who got caught. To see him sued for voter suppression is wonderful turnabout. How likely is he to lose? Trump lawyers now re-watching My Cousin Vinny to help mount a defense. Why is the Trump campaign trying to overturn the results of the 2020 election? I remember hearing people describing impeachment as the attempt of Democrats to overturn their results of the 2016 election. Funny how they react when the shoe's on the other foot. I really think the country should sue for crimes against reality. I'm so sick of the constant lying and gaslighting. You're watching the RNEWS show. From r/politics, Trump may need to be impeached and removed before Inauguration Day. At this point, literally contacting Republican canvassers to stop certification is a crime. And absolutely be impeached and removed. This is a sure thing. If Republicans don't agree and stay with him past this point, then they are complicit and also should be investigated. Please January the 20th. Please get here and let Biden be sworn in. Biden needs to install an act that will go after Trump and cronies for these crimes on day one. I would be happy with Ag Doug Jones. We already know he's more than willing to prosecute serious crimes and he voted to impeach Trump. Ag Preet Special Investigator Jones. I'm down with getting Preet in there. Dude's the boss. Yeah, the podcast would probably be put on hold, but I'll manage. Downside is things that don't appear to be happening, which is pandemic response and relief bills and the shutdown. In fact, there's so much bullcrap going on. The Democrats are just going to be paralyzed by decisions. Like when a plane crashes in the ocean and even if you've read the instructions, you just freeze in place. It's pretty fertile ground for a well-planned coup. Not that Trump could do well-planned. Which is strange because every Trump sign I see says, no more bullcrap. No crap, but the Republican Senate has like 3 working days in December to get a continuing budget resolution done and there is no way they are taking up another impeachment case. Frick the GOP for killing us. You're watching the RNEWS show. From r/World News. Mexico approves landmark cannabis legalization bill in landslide vote. We love you back. And something that can fly through the air and maybe has seats too. Biggest reason, to cripple the cartels. Second biggest reason, revenue for the state. A win-win. We arrogant Americans think of Mexico as almost a third world nation. Lazy, uneducated, filled with crime. Because we're ignorant. Mexico has a huge drug problem. And with this move they are trying to mitigate it. But otherwise is a thriving, highly educated country that is forever underestimated by the world. America should follow their lead and do what Colorado, other states, and Canada have already done. Legalize weed. We are not looking very smart to the rest of the world these days. Yup, the best way to deal with the cartels is to cut their revenue. Legalize avocados. Never. They're a gateway fruit! Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. Cries in New Zealand. I feel your pain. Seems like we are the only country to lose the vote on legalization. And by only 2%. Dope. And that's where we're going to end today's show. But if you like what you saw, leave a like. And if you want to see more of the RNEWS show, hit that subscribe button. As always, this has been the RNEWS show and I'll see you tomorrow.